This week I will place the bets on the warmongers as they are screaming higher than ever. And it's not the crazy guy in North Korea alone who is sending up new rockets, but the warmongers in US and Europe are more crazy than ever, asking for more weapons, asking for more tension, and that means that the war industry will again be hammered by request, and some of the stocks supplying the war industry is Boeing and Northrop, which will be one of my bets this week. But I believe it will be a red week, and you will hear more about that in the market section, and in the trading section you will have the trading tips and an update on how it went last week, where Chevron and gold were cut by stop loss, Chevron leaving a slight profit, while Barrick Gold was sold with a slight loss. You're listening to the StockInvest.us podcast trading tips with Jim, and I hope you'll enjoy it, as week 8 will be a shortened trading week where markets will be closed tomorrow on the Monday for Presidential Day, Washington's birthday, and only trading from Tuesday to Friday. I don't know about you, but personally I had a bad week last week in all aspects, and the stock trading didn't go very well either. Both Chevron and gold in the trading portfolio, Barrick Gold was sold by stop loss last week. Chevron left a slight profit, while Barrick Gold was cut by stop loss, giving a loss of 2.69%, but we will get back to that. And I think I am on the 20th try on this week's podcast. Struggled to get started and say something sensible. I will make this a very, very short podcast, and after 3 years I think I'm a load for a short podcast. And it will be a shortened trading week as well, because tomorrow is the President Day. It is George Washington's birthday. Markets will be closed only 4 trading days this week. Last week I told you I thought it would be a red week and gave you reason for that. And I said I don't think it will be red by much, but it will for sure will be a volatile week. And it became a very, very volatile week. It was actually a trader's dream. But as I told you, my week was just awful last week. I tried a few trades because I do a lot of trades outside the trading portfolio. Most of them I had to take early losses, and I think it was only 1 or 2 that I went in green. So I just decided to quit all trading because my mood was not set for the operandus modus was totally wrong, and it's one of the best tips that I can give you as well. If you do not have a good day, you shouldn't trade, because the mood sets the conditions for everything. It affects your decision making. So I just did a few trades. I noticed that I was absolutely not in mood, not having the right motivation, so I just stopped the trading for the week. But there were many stocks going nicely, despite many stocks also falling. It was a very, very volatile week. If you were able to hit some of them, many of the quarter results companies, of course, did very strong. I think I saw DraftKings running very fast. That was why I mentioned last week that you have to keep an eye on these companies and the quarter results, because that is where money is made and lost. Nasdaq was up 0.59% last week at 11,787, struggling with 12,000. And it was the inflation numbers that was bad last week, stronger than expected. And when the inflation numbers are going up, well, then Fed will just have to increase the interest rates, and the markets really doesn't like that. And there is so much imbalance in the markets right now that many experts do not understand how the market can be as strong as it is. But we have to understand the market's been starving for more than a year in a bearish market, so there is a lot of hope and optimism. But many do not think this will last. I actually have to agree, including me, I do not think this will last. For those following me, this is the 4th year of the podcast. You heard me say that the Ukraine war would come. You heard me say that I believe the Taiwan conflict will be first half year of 23. You heard everything about the inflation, how it will rise up long before it actually happened. I think there is more, because the one thing I also said, I think Nasdaq has to go down to 8,000 points. Now that is very negative, because right now everything is indicating the strong possibility that the bear market is over and that we are in an upturn. I've been trading for so many years. I've seen these things before. It is really hard to say when it's over, because we are having some momentum now, and if we just keep some positive news, we can easily fly back to 16,000. And as I told you, when the market turn, and they will, the first few jumps will be insane. And for those checking, Microsoft is up 100% since the bottom. Meta and Tesla the same, more than 100%. But you also have to know that if there will be some negative news, and I think that in general there will be, when people start to secure their profits in Tesla and in Meta, for instance, I can guarantee you there will be huge falls if that happens. Because that I've seen before, when these big players will take the profit, they will just cut the stocks, and there is not as much support below as you think, because the upturn was way too fast. So I will not be surprised if it happens that any of the two stocks which I just mentioned suddenly get into a frantic sell-off, but that will be a unique buying opportunity if it happens. I can guarantee you I will pick in on some of them if it happens. Tesla, we done so many trades in Tesla, I cannot remember, and the last trade in Meta was some 69% profit, so there you go. Anyway, shortened trading week ahead of us. There will be more quarter results, not as many. The quarter results, they show, some of them show some very good signs, but there is one thing that you should know, that this debt is really building up very fast in the company structures in US, not only US, Europe as well, and even on the personal level. People are tapping harder and harder into their credit cards, and this debt buildup is not very good. US is heading the debt ceiling right now. In general, they have to deal with that this week, I think. So just be prepared. That's the only thing I can tell you. And personally, I keep my risk profile low until I am more certain. Yes, I'll lose out of something. Now, the day before the consumer price index was released last week, Biden just said that I will release more oil. I will tap into the oil strategic reserves. And that, of course, made the oil fall a little down. He is selling off even more oil, bringing the storage down to the lowest level it's been for, I think it was 84 or something like that. At dangerously low levels. Oil had a small dip. That was the reason why Chevron was sold, because Chevron also fell because of the release, but then built back up. Currently, oil is trading at $77, down $2 by last week. I think it will continue up. Chevron was sold because of stop loss, and we use stop loss. We have traded Chevrons many times. I will be back in Chevron, I promise you that, because I think oil has much more upside. So I will look for a new entry level in Chevron, but we keep the strategy of using stop loss, because we really do not know. It could fall much more. Chevron, I'm not sure exactly where it is right now, $163 or something. And it may be a good opportunity. Gold also fell, $22 down for the gold, $1,851 currently. Reason for this is, of course, inflation numbers again, and that means that the dollars get stronger. When the dollar gets stronger, it's very tied to the gold price, of course. Gold fell a little, and that caused Barrick Gold to fall also. Barrick Gold released quarter numbers last week, best revenues ever, but there were some warning signs about falling production of gold in the future. I think I mentioned this last week, I'm not sure, but overall in the world we see struggles with gold production. And knowing that the BRICS countries are tying their currency up towards gold and want to do the oil in gold, I think, as I keep saying, that gold is a very good place to be. I said this for quite some time now. The overall profit hasn't been very, very good, but at the same time it has done the job which I thought it would be. It would hedge very good against a bearish market. Still remain bullish for gold. I think there is plenty of upside in gold. Of course, much less than if you do any stocks, because some stocks will go 50% or 200%, while gold in general will struggle to do the next 10%, even though I think gold will hit $2,500 this year. 10-year Treasury yield went up by 0.09 last week to 383, and as I said, whenever this go up, the stock market will go down again, closing in on very high. These numbers just tell me that the week ahead of us could be a hard one, but of course we will let the chart decide all of it. But before going to the chart, the trading signals, we analyze more than 38,000 tickers. 26,000 of these are qualified for signals. Right now 32% of all the tickers that we analyze says buy. New York Stock Exchange went up from 27 last week, is currently 38. New York Stock Exchange 41. London 35, Tokyo 36, and Shenzhen China fell from 40 to 24. Some of it was because markets were scared in China last week over the aggression surrounding the balloons that were shut down. Now, before we look at the chart, the buy signals being this high, again, they were high while the market didn't do very well, is a little concerning. We will not dive too much into it now, but I would prefer if the buy signals was much lower, because if they're lower, we know that the market may just turn up. And we are looking at the chart. You can do this as well. If you are listening to this podcast on audio, it will be available on YouTube as well, and in video version. Or you can just go to StockInvest, type in the ticker IXIC, and you will get the chart. Now, the chart says that we are at the top of the trend. We are falling down just like we expected. Everything is according to expectations. Everything is actually indicating that the market should fall a little bit more this week. I expect it to fall around down to 10,500 by the end of the week. The more interesting thing is that the long and the short-term moving average are getting closer to each other, and that is signaling a possible sell signal coming up from the relation between the long and the short-term moving average. Plenty of support from 11,400 to 11,000, but as I said, if there will be some profit securing, it can give an instant day at Nasdaq down 3, maybe even 4%, because of the previous rallies. When they start to secure, everyone will sell. You will just see very huge gaps in the prices, causing huge falls again. And that can bring, because of the weights, for instance, for Meta and Tesla in the index, cause the index to fall very, very hard. Relative strength index is turning a little up. It's 58, but it's still way too high to say that this is a good buying opportunity. So the chart shows, the short-term chart shows that we are at the upper part of the trend. We expect further downturn. What I hope is that it will turn around 11,500 and that we will push up break the trend and go at an even better trend. Now, if you look at the long-term chart, this is interesting. We are turning at the top of the trend, just as we should. What I do like is that there is a buy signal, so the relation between the short and the long-term chart. The relative strength index is way too high, 63, indicating that we should go down. But there are a few signs indicating that we very well will be heading for a good, strong bull market. Not right now, not the first few weeks, but in general. As I told you, I think that the final bear market will be over in May, and June we are in bull market. That was my predictions early on this year, and I remain saying the same. Actually, I said that the last year, that second half of 23 will be a good thing. Overall, I think that the political situation in the world and the major news will shape if this will be heading for a bull market or if we will have some dreadful falls, because there is still too much happening in the world that can cause a real havoc. I will get to the trading tips now, and in the trading tips I will tell you that again, like I told you so many years ago, go for war industry, buy war stocks, because we are heading for darker times. It was very obvious with the political situation, the direction where we were heading, where you get these warmongers selected around the world. That sort of ideology. We just have to prepare for the worst, and the worst just, of course, happened. Ukraine war came just as expected, and the conflict with Taiwan is also getting stronger, and all of that brewed for more use of weapon. And across the board we hear absolutely everything about it. Everyone is screaming more weapons, more weapons, more weapons. The aggression level is higher. We see top politicians saying that they actually want to go to war against Russia, European politicians, and it is just so insane. It's even hard to speak about it in this podcast. I just wait for one sane, proper politician to start to talk the peace talk. Try to get to some sort of agreements, get the aggression down, because this is not good for the stock market. It's for sure not good for the human race as well. As we speak, young people, young men in Ukraine are dying on both sides. There is nothing good into this gravel pit of a battlefield. There never will be. I've been in wars myself. Personally, I've been in Lebanon, I've been in Kosovo, I've been in Afghanistan, doing my time as well. And there is absolutely no beauty in it. But we are talking stocks, we are talking stock trading, we are talking markets, and as I tell you, there is an upside in war industry, because Jens Stoltenberg, the Norwegian chairman of NATO, he just said that we need to arm up. Everyone is saying the same thing, and all the weapons going to Ukraine mean that storages are getting low, so the weapon industry just have to push out more weapons. There will be 24/7 lights in the factories as ammunition is being prepared for more violence again. Not a good moralic choice. But no one really cares about you, and nobody never will care about you. So why don't you do like everyone else, make some money out of it? I think the war industry again will be on an upturn. I made money on it last time. I will make money on it this time. We'll get to the trading tips where you will hear me say that I think Boeing and Gundrop again are very attractive at these levels, as everyone is building up their armies. Heading for trading tips coming up right now. As I told you in the previous section, it was not the best week for the trading tips portfolio. Both Chevron and Barrick Gold was sold by cut by stop loss and sold. Sumerica stays open, is 26 cents, currently less the same like we gave for it. But I believe Sumerica will do good. I'm even thinking about maybe increasing my personal exposure in Sumerica a little bit. It's a penny stock, and penny stocks you should be careful about in general. But I see some huge upside in Sumerica. I've done so many trades, which strong trades, and I think Sumerica suddenly will jump to $1. Now, you may think that, okay, we are doing a few percentages now and then, and that is really not much when you look at, for instance, DraftKings last week doing as good as this. Why don't we pick any of these stocks? If you go for high risk, very high risk, you can have strong rewards or you can have brutal falls. So in general, I told you I'm not sure about the market, and I stick to more safe stocks. And if doing very well, we sometimes add a little higher risk, but I didn't find last week to be the place where I would put a very high risk. And this week I will not do that neither. I found 3 stocks which I will tell you about, which I will trade into, which I think will hold good in the week. And if something very special happens, I think that they will do good. I keep repeating if something very special will happen, because I have that very strong feeling that that may happen anytime. And as I told you, I've been in the stock markets very long time, and when it happens, you simply do not get, unless you have trailing stop loss, you do not get out of your positions and you are dragged down. I have seen so many brutal falls in the market coming out of the blue, and then if you are in the wrong stocks, you can see your portfolio and eventual profits you made in the last upturn vanished in a single day. Now Chevron was sold, giving a profit of 0.2%. Barrick Gold, we had to take a small loss at 2.69%. Both of them I really like, and I think they will do very good. But in this trading portfolio, we do trailing stop loss. It's only Sumerica which we haven't used trailing stop loss on. So these were just sold like they should be, and you can buy them even cheaper now. So it's even better. It was a very correct choice to let them be sold by trailing stop loss. For the week as such, I'm not going back into gold and Chevron, because I found 3 stocks which I think will do better. I have 2 stocks which I think is somewhat safe, one which is a little bit more volatile with a potential higher upside. The 3 stocks, and as I mentioned, 2 of them are war related. They are for volatility with a potential swift move. This is stock that can start very fast. Lumen Technology, LUMN, is the first stock I will try to buy as cheap as I can on Tuesday when the market's open. Boeing is the second. Boeing supply the war industry with material, and as I say, I think it is just the right place, because I will not be surprised if we will see warmongering going to extreme levels, and that will put an even higher pressure on Boeing to deliver more increased production. And when they increase production and get even better paid for their products, there should be even more profits made. And then there is Northrop NOC also doing something the same. I think these 2 companies can do good in the week ahead of us, with the potential for doing very good also forward. That will leave us with 4 stocks in the portfolio. We'll have Sumerica, and Sumerica is highly volatile, penny stock that will take care of the high risk part of the portfolio. Then we have Lumen Technologies, which I will get into. I think that one can do a 20%. We will watch and see. Boeing and Northrop to be a little safe. On top of this, personally, I think that we might see another run in Fate. You can keep that one on your list. The last time we went into Fate ended with disaster because of news The news were released that they went out of contract with Johnson & Johnson, and the stock opened down 60% the day after, and the trailing stop loss was not even activated, like it will not be activated if it's overnight kind of things. But we managed to gain back much of the losses in Fate like we wanted, but I think there might be a new Fate trade coming up soon. On top of this, the best recommendation I will keep like last week, look at relative strength index. Find stocks which are very low on the relative strength index, especially 21, the relative strength index 21. Good support below, because you want that very, very good support below. Because if shit hit the fan and things go very south, good support below will slow down the fall, give you time to get out of your trades. This is the kind of market where things happen, because as I say, markets can skyrocket. They can go very, very fast into a rally, push back to 13,000, 14,000, 15,000, even 16,000 on Nasdaq. I've seen this before. At the same time, I've seen the downside. When everything looks very good, dark clouds gather, and we saw we saw the consumer price index numbers coming in higher last week, and we see tension and aggression in the world, and suddenly you have that bad cocktail mix, and do some profit securing from the last term, often referred to as suckers rally, and you go down. I personally do not know exactly where this will end. I will not overinvest. We keep, like we sold Meta 69% profit. I only used half of it, the rest I put in the bank. I will buy whenever I feel comfortable. I will buy more, invest more, but I'm not sure if the moment is exactly now. You have to do what you desire to do. That will be exactly up to you. I'm just telling you what I will do. Now, this was not the best of the best of podcast, but we managed to get through it. Prepare for a new week. In just a few hours, I will see my kids. I really look forward to that, and I hope that you have that same opportunity to spend some time with families and friends. Until next week, have a beautiful week. I will see you in just a week. Bye.
Welcome to StockInvest.us podcast. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.us. By using the information provided, you agree and are